let us know when we've added Commissioner Miller to the participant side.
Okay. Alderman Cohn's there too. Sure.
Hello.
Oh, good. No.
Hello, Commissioner Miller.
Good morning again.
Good morning. And we have Alderman Cohn as well. As we have a quorum, Janet, are you ready for us to start?
Yes.
Very good. Then at this time, I'll call to order the Port Authority for the City of St. Louis for its regularly scheduled meeting held on December 14, 2023 at 8 a.m. and 10 a.m. via Zoom. Can we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Seymour? You're on mute.
I think the record reflect Commissioner Seymour's present.
Commissioner Cohn?
Present.
Commissioner Kay?
Present.
Commissioner Miller?
Present.
Chair McBride?
Present. We'll take up the approval of minutes for November 14, 2023 meeting. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
So moved.
Second, Alderman Cohen.
Moved by Commissioner Miller, second by Alderman Cohen. May I have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Seymour?
Yes.
Commissioner Cohn?
Yes, aye.
Commissioner Kay?
Aye.
Commissioner Miller?
Aye.
Chair McBride?
Aye. The motion passes and the minutes are approved. We'll take up resolution 23 PT 40, recommending a 15% increase for the land mooring situated within the Port District. Susan, can you walk us through that, please?
Sure. Good morning, everyone. Every 5 years, the ordinance that created the Port Authority requires us to increase the rates. And there's a fairly complicated formula in ordinance 57933. Just so everyone knows, the rate for that ordinance is a minimum rate. We're allowed to charge a greater rent. We just can't charge less. And almost all of our leases have been negotiated upwards to market rate rents. So this is, it is a floor, and it's all moot, but it's nevertheless what the ordinance requires. So we held a public meeting, and we had some people attend who had a few questions. We answered their questions, and we would like to move forward with a 15% increase of a dollar amount that was set in the 70s when ordinance 57933 was put together. And there's an exhibit to this that shows the dollar amount increase that's then added to the base rent. So you don't increase the rent 15% in this case, you increase the increment that you're going to add every 5 years, in this case by 15%. So the current rate that would start January 1st of 24 is $19.875 per linear foot or square foot. Most of our rates are much higher than that. So our linear feet rates are 35 to 70, and our square foot rates are, those were dollars, our square foot rates are 35 to 7 to about 35 cents a square foot. So we're requesting approval to increase the base rent rate by 15%, which would then set the $19.875 or cents as the base rate, or which would, yes, as the base rate. And as I said, it's mostly moot, but we are following ordinance 57933. Sorry, that's complicated, but there it is.
Yeah, we're just raising the base, but the market is dictating what most of the leases are. That'd be
Right.
fair. Very good.
Right.
All right, any questions for Susan on this resolution? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion to approve resolution 23 PT 40.
So moved, Alderman Cone.
Second.
Previous
Oh,
roll.
okay.
We just had Commissioner Mason join us, so we will,
I remove my request for previous roll.
thank you, Alderman. We'll do a roll. It's been properly moved and seconded. Let's do a roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Seymour,
Aye.
Commissioner Cone,
Aye.
Commissioner Kay,
Aye.
Commissioner Mason. Aye. Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Chair McBride.
Aye. And the motion passes and the resolution is approved. All right, we'll move on to resolution 23 PT 41, adopting a list of pre-qualified firms for real estate professional services. Susan, you walking us through this?
Yes, a few years ago, the Port Authority created a list of pre-qualified consultants. That list expired last year. At the same time, in September 14th of 23, the Land Clearance for Redevelopment Authority, which is a sister organization of LDC, issued a list of an RFQ to get the same kind of list. And we asked the marine engineering qualifications, which was done. So we would like to adopt the list that LCRA came up with so that we can use the firms that are on LCRA's list. Mixing that up.
Yeah, so this is,
Sorry, I made a mistake, sorry. This is for pre-qualified firms. It's the same principle LCRA came up with, issued a list of, an RFQ, and all of these are real estate professionals who provide either title work, appraisal work, or assistance with acquiring, selling, or managing properties. So they're all real estate professional services, and sometimes the Port Authority needs those services. So we would like to adopt the list that's already been adopted by LCRA and LRA. And before the meeting started today, about 15 minutes beforehand, we found out there was an error on the list that was adopted by LCRA and LRA. You want to address what we should do about the error? Can we just substitute the new name?
as I understand it, there actually wasn't an error, and the firms are correct on the short list.
Okay, so that's what we'd like to do is adopt the list that LCRA and LRA have already adopted.
All right. Are they-
Susan, I have a question.
Sure.
Do you hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
The question is, are we voting for either or we are voting for for example, we have two title companies on the list. Are we saying that we are voting for both of them, or we have to choose between one?
no, we're voting for both of them. They are on the list.
Oh,
from-
okay.
Okay.
All
So
right.
this is for a short list, Commissioner Seymour, so that in the eventuality occurs that we need services of that nature, then they can reach out to either or both of these firms to address that.
Oh, okay.
And
All
then-
right. No, that
and
makes
then-
sense.
Mr. Morrow, correct me if I'm wrong, but then there's a certain dollar amount by which they would in fact have to come back before us. Is that accurate?
Correct. These would be procured under the Port Authority's existing policy for professional services, which has a dollar threshold over which any contract will come back to the port or Port Commission for approval.
Okay.
Very good. Any other questions on this resolution? Hearing and seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to approve resolution 23 PT 41.
I put the motion.
Moved by Commissioner Seymour,
Second, Alderman Cone, request for previous roll.
seconded by Alderman Cone with request for previous roll. Is there any objection to that request? Hearing none, the motion passes and the resolution is approved. At this point, we'll take up resolution 23 PT 42, First Amendment to Master Redevelopment Agreement, with the Port Authority, LCRA, and City as to the southern development. Let's see, I think we have guest Susan. You have this?
Yes, I do. I'll start, but, so there's an organization, the developer that's working on, approximately, 100 acres around the, MacArthur Bridge and Shoto's Landing to try to redevelop a multi-use, development there. And we have a master redevelopment agreement with them, and, well, they have one with us, the LCRA, Land Clearance for Redevelopment Authority.
I do.
I'm sorry? Okay.
I think
so
that was
the-
Commissioner Miller. If I could interrupt, Commissioner Miller, we do have,
Yes.
Commissioner Mason has joined us, so if you are in the middle of the meeting, then we would have a quorum if you were to drop off.
Okay,
That makes it
I'm
easier for
okay
you.
for now, but
Okay.
I'm on my way downtown. I'll just mute myself.
Oh, okay, no problem.
So
Please
join
proceed,
us,
Susan.
sorry, join us this morning are some representatives from that developer. And so would the commission like to hear from them about their requested amendment to the master redevelopment agreement?
Yeah, if let's see, we have Doug Rasmussen and Mike Fletcher on the line. If they could just bring us up to speed on where we're at and what they're requesting.
Sure. 1 second. I'm going to share my screen. I have a presentation to share with you all.
Give Mr. Fletcher authorization. Oh, it looks like he's sharing his screen. Thank you.
Can you all see that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good afternoon. Good morning. I'm Mike Fletcher. I'm the general counsel at Good Developments Group. As Susan alluded to, we're doing a large redevelopment in Shoto's Landing, known as Gateway South. To open, I just want to emphasize that our project is still on track and has gained some significant positive momentum since our team has last appeared before this body, including being awarded our full requested allocation for state historic tax credits about a week ago. With that said, as our project has progressed, we have had some slight modifications to our initial plans, and that's what I'm going to walk you all through this morning. So this first slide shows, as currently contemplated by the Master Redevelopment Agreement, this outlines the properties that were originally slated to be our Phase 1 development. The properties listed in blue are city and LRA owned properties. And according to the Master Redevelopment Agreement, they would be considered part of our Phase 1 if we close on them, but they're excluded from the current requirement in the Master Redevelopment Agreement that we close on them by December 31st of this year. And then this next slide it outlines the properties that we are looking to change given our updated plans regarding what our Phase 1 properties will be. So the first three properties that are addresses that are X through here were originally designated as surface parking, but those initial properties would fall short of meeting our parking space requirements for our Phase 1. So we are proposing to use the parcels to the right of that, the 800 to 802 South 3rd and that list, which would provide 3 times as much parking as our previously contemplated parking. And then on to number 2 here, we're also requesting a swap to the property, the 101 to 121 Shoto, and instead using the 200 to 224 Shoto, Lombard. The 200 to 224 Lombard Street property will benefit our site activation because it's closer in proximity to what's going to be what we internally call our Phase 1A, the Crendon Martin building that will be redeveloping. So it'll create more of a more site activation because both of those redevelopments would be closer together, and therefore provide like a core district in terms of initial redevelopment of this area. And then finally, the properties listed below the line here on this slide, we request an extension of the current closing requirement from December 31st of this year to June 30th of next year. We are in advanced talks and essentially just waiting for final approval from the CEO of a large public company that we anticipate being our first anchor tenant, and we're really excited about the momentum that we have there. However, based on the commitment timeline, we want to ensure that we acquire the correct properties that this large anchor tenant will want to inhabit when they come into the district. And so therefore, given the timeline of the internal approval from that company, we would request that our timeline to close on these properties be extended until June 30th. We think we'll be getting finalization with that company, early in the new year, and then shortly thereafter be able to close on these properties. And so this final slide shows the list of our requested updated phase 1 development properties. It's also worth noting in the last column to the right, there are a number of properties that we have already closed on. And so, we appreciate your consideration, and please let me know if you have any questions about this request.
Very good. And Mr. Fletcher, I think I understand that there are some additional properties that have been purchased by your entity that have not been reflected on these slides that you presented today.
Yes, that's correct. I just presented on the phase 1 properties as contemplated by the master redevelopment agreement, but there are a number of other properties that we have acquired in the area and others that are, under contract, and we are in the process of purchasing. So the properties here that say closed doesn't reflect the full roster of properties within the master redevelopment area that we have closed upon, just the phase 1 properties as currently contemplated by the master redevelopment agreement.
Thank you. Doug, do you have anything to add to this?
No, nothing further to add, but happy to help answer any questions that might come up.
Very good. Any questions from the commissioners to the team?
I have a question. With regard to some of your properties that you have acquired, what are they going to be used for? And if that went past me, please forgive me. I noticed here that it says public space. What are you purchasing these properties for?
So the nucleus of the Crundon Martin building is kind of like the nucleus of our phase 1, and that'll be an innovation center. It'll be some food and beverage. It'll be office space. It'll be office space partially for this large anchor tenant that we anticipate coming in soon. It'll be co-working space. It'll be innovator and maker space for those in the construction industry. And then some of the properties, including the ones that we're asking for an extension on for the closing requirement, will be R&D space for this large company, and also partially some of the property will be kind of pop-up and office space for the contractors that will be working on the redevelopment of the area.
So basically it's all commercial, no residential?
Correct. In the phase 1, correct.
So you said phase 1, phase 2, will it be residential, or do you have any ideas of what's going to happen in phase 2?
We don't have solidified plans of exactly what will be phase 2. It'll kind of be a rolling process after. There will be residential in later phases.
Will you provide security for your residents that are in the building? Your leases that's in the building.
Well, we currently have hired a security company to patrol the area to ensure that, you know, we don't have any issues down there, or at least that we are aware of any issues that occur. And we've also been in contact with some of the other nearby, I think the downtown community improvement district, in terms of providing security at the moment. And I'm sure those plans will evolve as we have more, you know, site activation and construction going on.
Okay, thank you.
Mike, I have one quick question.
Yes, ma'am.
After all these things said and done, would you remind me how big the total area is going to be?
Yeah, currently it's 94 acres currently contemplated by the master redevelopment agreement. You know, it may expand even further than that, but obviously we are focused on getting that initial 94 acres redeveloped and activated.
And the cost is still, you're estimating it to be about 1.2 billion?
Correct. Once that, yeah, the full 94 acres will be about a $1.2 billion project. That's correct.
Well, I had an opportunity to get a quick tour of the development down there, and it's very impressive. And it's really a Herculean effort for the young people who are involved down there. So best of luck to you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, any further questions on this resolution?
I was just going to ask, what have you found the condition of the buildings? I know the complex is over 100 years old, and one of the buildings, obviously, as you showed in your first slide, you know, transcends the street.
Oh,
Almost like a sky bridge might, you know. What is the condition of all of that?
So structurally, from my understanding, the building is sound, and the Crendon Martin, what is it, West building obviously had that large fire in 2011. So we're eager to get started before the condition of that deteriorates any further. But it will be a historic rehab. So the majority of the, you know, integrity of that building will be, will remain as we rehabilitate it, instead of, you know, having to do wholesale changes to the building.
Right. Okay.
I have one other question. Are you all working with engineering companies?
Yes, we are working with engineering companies.
Are you working with CPG?
I am not aware of us working with CPG. However, we have our construction partner who's been closer to this in the gallery. I'm not sure if he could be let in to speak to this, John Mazzio.
Well, the reason why I'm concerned is my son works for that organization, and I'm wondering if it would be a conflict of interest if I were to vote on this.
So we are not working with, I just got the update, we're not working with CPG, so
Okay.
I don't think you'd be conflicted out.
Thank you.
All good questions. Anything else on this resolution? Hearing none, then I'd entertain a motion to approve resolution 23 PT 42.
So moved.
Second.
Moved
Previous
and
roll.
second. And I believe that Commissioner Miller has dropped off, so we'll need to do a roll call on this one.
Okay.
Commissioner Mason,
Aye.
Commissioner Seymour,
Aye.
Commissioner Cohen,
Aye.
Commissioner Kay,
Aye.
Chair McBride.
Aye. Motion passes and the resolution is approved. All right, let's take up resolution 23 PT 43 relating to a change in the SCF Lewis and Clark Fleeting LLC lease.
Yes, SCF Lewis and Clark, either Fleeting or Terminals, has 5 leases with us. their holding company is being bought by Ingram Barge, which is a huge barge line. Ingram already has a presence in the St. Louis Harbor, on the east side. And so SCF and Ingram are very, pleased with this new ownership, structure. They feel there's a lot of, there's no competition, there's plenty of synergies there. And so we are asking your approval to, agree to the change in the ownership, of SCF Lewis and Clark Fleeting and SCF Lewis and Clark Terminals from the SCF Holding Company, to Ingram Barge.
Very good. Any questions on this resolution?
It's Alderman Cone.
Alderman Cone?
Hi, Susan.
Actually,
Did we not just pass this at the Board of Aldermen?
The resolution complete though.
yeah, there was an aldermanic resolution in support of this that is part of the, process by which ownership changes. So your approval is, the Port Commission's approval is, required, as is the, aldermanic approval.
So isn't the Port Authority supposed to be voting on these things before the Board of Aldermen? Because generally speaking, the resolutions come over saying that the Port Authority has reviewed and accepted the nominations of staff or something to that extent.
Yeah, Alderman Cone, under the city code, recommendations for, Board of Public Service permits or lease agreements that come through as board bills do require a prior recommendation of the Port Commission. This is actually, the reason we're back here before everyone is due to a provision of the lease itself, which simply requires the consent of the, Board of Public Service, Board of Aldermen, and the Port Commission. So there's no need for any particular timing sequence. It was a bit of an abbreviated schedule because, as we recently learned, SCF is planning to close on the transaction in January. So we're in a bit of a time crunch. Otherwise, if they close without consent, then they're in breach of lease. So we had to play, we had to expedite the timetable a little bit. But procedurally, everything is fine. There shouldn't be any error.
Okay.
Are there any other questions on this resolution?
Do we know what the Board of Aldermen vote was?
They passed it out.
Right.
We suspended the rules and then ended up passing, or yeah, so.
Would that be by acclamation, or were there any no votes, so to speak?
Not that I'm aware of.
No.
Okay.
All right, if there's nothing else on this, but I don't want to preclude any further discussion, but there's nothing else on this, then I would take up a motion to approve resolution 23 PT 43.
One more question, please.
Sure.
The term, was that just carried forward, the term of the current lease, and when did that end?
There are 5 leases, and so they have different terms.
Oh,
So
okay.
they'll all stay, all those terms will stay the same. So they'll all end at their, per their, what's in the lease now.
Do you anticipate they remain 5 leases, or do you think they will merge together at some point?
All the leases were negotiated independently. Some of them came from Eagle Marine, some of them were SCF. So they've all had sort of a different provenance. And so going forward, we don't expect any changes. I don't think Ingram, I haven't talked to the guide Ingram, the lead guide Ingram yet, but we don't anticipate any changes in the lease structure, the structure of the 5 leases that we have. All those terms are part of the lease. And so we don't anticipate any changes. No.
Okay.
And I presume there's no default on any of this in SCF.
No, they're all in very good standing. They pay their rent promptly and they take very good care of city property.
Very good. Then at this time, I'll renew my request for a motion to approve resolution 23 PT 43.
So moved.
Second, Alderman Cone, previous role.
We properly moved and seconded with previous role requested. Is there any objection to that request? Hearing none, the motion passes and the resolution is approved. Do we have anything on open agenda?
Not today, Chairman McBride. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything from the commissioners on open agenda? Thank you. Then I will exercise my privilege and just wish everyone happy holidays. And we look forward to seeing you at the new year. Our next meeting is scheduled for January 11, 2024 at 9 a.m. If there's nothing else before this Port Authority, then I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
Seconded.
Moved.
Motion, I move it.
Moved. And do we have a second?
Second.
I will second. And Commissioner Kay will second. And we are adjourned. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Happy holidays.
Happy
Thank you.
holidays indeed.
Thank you.